war was on, and there were more bombs exploding than Rossa would ever have dared hope. A pause from the cop who appraised him from behind the hatch. His eyes narrowed. "Who are you?" He glanced away, not wanting his face to be seen. "A friend," he said. Which could mean many things. The peeler kept the gun pointed on him, waited for more but got only the hiss of the unrelenting rain. The cop told him to hold on and quickly snapped the armoured hatch shut. As expected, he wanted to call it in. The man who stood in the rain could be anyone. A plain-clothed soldier coming in from the cold, his cover compromised. A branchman who needed help and would trust only one of his own in the secret police. Or a mad dog provo that had a gun in his waistband and wanted them to open the gates before he started shooting, happy to go down fighting, so long as he took more of the enemy with him. But he was none of the above. Here, in the cold and rain, nearly 80 miles from his Belfast home, he was undergoing a metamorphosis. There was dark magic at work this devil's hour, and in truth, he did not know what he was in this moment, nor what he would be transformed into. The sound of a bolt snapping, and another hatch opened, above him this time, and then a voice. English, barking as only a Brit soldier knew how. "Hands on your fucking head, now!" He didn't bother to look up. He knew that the proboscis of a standard long rifle was trained on him. He did as asked, and the door that was set into the large armoured gates was unbolted and quickly opened. 2 RUC officers, flanked by 2 soldiers, emerged and fanned around him, guns pointed. One of the peelers let go of the semi-automatic rifle he was holding and swung it on his back, then frisked him. "He's clean," he shouted. The 2 Brits seized him and marched him through the gate. He was half carried, half dragged across a rutted and waterlogged courtyard where armoured Land Rovers were parked. His bruised and battered body screamed out, but he gritted his teeth and did not give voice to his pain. He had screamed enough in the last 2 days. This night, he would speak his revenge. Through a door and along a corridor, the smell of frying eggs and the sour reek of sweat, talcum powder and the humidity of hot showers. A door opened by one of the peelers, and the Brits who had him by the arms stopped. He braced himself to be thrown into the room head first, but the hands released him and the young men marched away. A big hand pressed between his shoulder blades, firm but not aggressive, and he obeyed the assertive suggestion that he enter the room. Inside was a table with 2 chairs. One peeler followed him in, invited him to take a seat, which he did, but reluctantly. The cop pulled out a chair and sat opposite. Average height and build, dark hair and a middle parting that fell in curtains on his forehead. Maybe in his late 20s, older than he was. The cop wore a small moustache that suited him and had blue, intelligent eyes. They rested on his face and then creased into a concerned question. "Do you need a doctor?" He shook his head, though it still pained his neck to do so. His eyes were almost swollen closed and black as the night he'd just emerged from. One of his lips was up like a tractor tyre, and that was what could be seen. His body was a cloudscape of bruises and broken skin. At some point he would need a doctor and some antibiotics. But the medicine he needed first and foremost was not going to be dispensed at a pharmacy. The peeler asked him if he was sure, and he said, quietly, that he was. In fact, it was sitting in the chair that he had a problem with, and part of him understood that perhaps he always would. They'd tied him to one in the isolated barn in South Armagh where they had set to work on him so systematically. It was a dark art to beat a man for 3 days, inflict the greatest possible hurt, and yet manage to keep him breathing, not have him die from shock or blood loss, or rupture a vital organ. To have the temperance and clinical control to keep the blows to the head to a minimum.